Atomic Blonde is an action film and stars Charlize Theron and James McAvoy. I'm going to get straight to the point. This film, for what it was fine. It's not one of the better films I've seen, but it's also not one of the worst films I've ever seen. It's somewhere in the middle. This was a film I had high expectations for, and after seeing this movie, my expectations are disappointed. Performance-wise, everyone does their job, but in the end, this film just tries way too hard, and the film is more style over substance. First big problem with the movie is the story. The story at no point sucked me in. I had no interest in what was going on. The story was pretty much shit. The story just wasn't compelling enough. And the story is needlessly complicated, and at points it is hard to follow. The action scenes in the film are passable. There wasn't any action scene that completely wowed me. I just thought, it was okay. The cinematography tries way too hard to be hip. There are some shots in the film where the camera's upside down and then they turn it around. And there's this particular action scene where they try to one-shot it, where they try to shoot one scene in one take. But the way they did this scene was sloppy, as you could tell at many points during the scene that there were cuts in this supposedly one-shot take. Every time someone got close to the camera to block the viewer's vision of what was going on screen, you could tell there was a cut. Earlier I said this film is trying way too hard, and here's why. This film is trying to be a James Bond film and a John Wick film at the same time, and the film is not as good as either of them. The film tries to be a spy movie with espionage and complicated plots, and it also tries to have action scenes that are very much like John Wick. And Atomic Blonde takes those two elements from the James Bond films and John Wick films and makes them boring, and that's the film's biggest fault. It is boring. The film is drawn out to no end. This film could have cut maybe a half hour out of the film because this film is nearly 2 hours long and the film is a drag. And there were a few scenes that happened in the movie that made me say that could have been cut. Now, I know I'm being harsh on this movie a lot, but if you're expecting a John Wick-esque film, I'm just gonna let you know now that while this film's action scenes try to be very John Wick, by no means is it a John Wick film. It's very much a spy movie. Overall, if you're looking for a film to be entertained by, this is the film. However, if you're looking for an action film as good as John Wick, you're not gonna get that. And while I have been harsh in this movie, like I said, the performances are the best part of the movie. Charlize Theron and James McAvoy do a good job, but unfortunately, like I said, the film is boring. The cinematography tries way too hard to be cool. The action scenes were decent enough, they weren't anything spectacular. And the story was too complicated and wasn't that interesting. But I can at least say I had fun with this movie for the most part. But overall, this film was just average, and I'm gonna give Atomic Blonde a 6 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see, be sure to like my Facebook page, follow me on Twitter, and subscribe to my channel below. As always, I'm NETX5. Thank you so much for watching.